The next thing I want to do is create a point constraint to allow the root to always have charge of the translation. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to select the locator of the root control, and then I'm going to select my outermost control of the tail, and I'm going to go constraint, point constraint, make sure maintain offset is on, and go apply. So now we have a point constraint that allows the root or the hip to have charge of the tail. And previously we set it up to have the rotation. Okay. And now the last relationship that has to be created is the one with the main control. So I'm going to grab the main control, grab the outermost control again, go constrain, scale constraint, maintain offset checked on, even though I don't have to since both of them are set to 1. I want to be safe. And I'm going to go apply. And the tail should now be connected to the rig. So if I was to take the rig and I was to scale it, the tail scales, and I still have access to scale the tail with the inside control here. So I can scale it up like that. And my go to build pose will still work, but it will only work for this main rig. So if I say go to build pose, it will bring it back down, and I'm left to my own devices to zero out this tail controls, which I'll deal with towards the end of this course. So let me select innermost control and zero this out to get the tail. Sorry, never zero when it comes to scale. You set to 1 to return it to its default size. So the tail is connected to the main rig. Let me play around a little bit more. Let me grab this and scale it up. And rotate this, hide my geometry. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. That looks good. And we can also check. I should have checked this. Yeah. All right, that looks good. And if I was to scale in IK mode, I'm still fine to get your default size. All right, let me get this control out of the way. My IKFK switching, go F8, grab it. And I'm actually also going to go into the left view and actually the right view and rotate it so that it's vertical, since all the other IKFK controls are like that, right? And it should be out here and accessible. All right, and the other thing I'm going to do is, since we're done with this, I don't want to mess around with it. I don't want to touch it by mistake. So I could go ahead and lock and hide these parameters, all the parameters I've constrained to. So I'm going to select it and go lock and hide. Let me find, yeah, lock and hide selected. All right, it should still be good. Yes. And then the next thing I'm going to do now, since I completely don't need it in the scene at all, is to select it and hit the down key to go to its shape node. And I'm going to hide the visibility of the shape node. So I'm going to go object display. I should have access to its shape node. It looks like the shape node might be connected to something. Let me find out what. Let me go into the node editor. Actually, I'm looking for its shape node, so I should select this, hit down to go to a shape node and map that. Okay, let me, yeah, its visibility is connected to the K-tail motion system. I don't want this connection, right? I don't particularly need it for this extra controller. So I'm going to disconnect this. If I ever run into an issue and I need to connect it back, I can come over here. What I'll do is I'll just save this bookmark, call it K-tail motion sys to main extra viz. Okay, and I will disconnect it. So now I should have access to its visibility in here, and I will hide it. Okay, yeah, so now we don't have to worry about it anymore. And this is a very important controller for scaling tail and translating it. So I'm going to grab it by its components and get it out here and look for a suitable place to put it. This is really big. I wonder if I need it to be this large. Maybe I can put it somewhere up here, make it a unique shape. I don't want it to get in the way of the rig. Let me make it differentiated a bit. Yeah, something like that should be fine. And it really doesn't need to be this big if it's a tail scaler. And it's a pretty good color, but maybe I can change it to another color. Let me see if the control curves coloring system would work. Let me pick maybe a very unique color that will stand out. So maybe like a yellow. I'll pick a yellow and set color. Yeah, that should be fine. So this is how we scale the tail. I don't think it's going to get in the way. And over time, if I think it is getting in the way, let me actually go view, show actually, and tear this off and hide my joint so I can see the rig how I would typically be seeing it and see how messy everything looks. And yeah, so if I would had this in IK mode, it doesn't look bad. Yeah, I don't think it's bad. I think it's gonna be fine. I can't imagine a scenario where it will not be accessible, or perhaps it should sit with the IK FK switching. Maybe it should go right here and just sit right next to it, right there. And so that this is how we scale the tail. Just know that. And I'm also going to create a tail settings control for the space switching. So maybe it can end up going there. I won't settle on this as a final position, but I'll just start off over here, right? We can sit over there. And if we want to scale the tail, we select it, and we can either translate the tail, which is a great thing too that we can do. We can even have another rotation control at the base. But again, this is primarily for scaling. Okay, so that should be what we're doing with the control. And it's time to move on to the next step and set up the space switching.